One machine, destined for greatness. But then came the crash. Let's take a look at the ColecoVision.
Now you can bring the arcade experience home. Introducing ColecoVision, the most advanced video game system you can buy. It plays more games than any other system. Arcade games with multiple screens like Donkey Kong. Arcade games like Zaxxon with its three-dimensional look. Adventure with 15 different screens. Cosmic Avenger. And ColecoVision's new Smurf game. Coming soon. ColecoVision's first expansion module that lets you play all the Atari VCS compatible cartridges. Now you can bring the arcade experience home because your vision is our vision. ColecoVision.
What's up, YouTube? So back with another episode of Take a Look At, and in today's episode we're going to be taking a look at the ColecoVision by Coleco. We're going to be taking a look at the history of the console, what's inside of it. We'll take a 360 view of it. Now, unfortunately, in this episode, since this is one of my RF systems, we have really bad radio interference here in this house. So anything like the Atari 5200, the 2600, the ColecoVision, the Intellivision, my Pong consoles, any of those look like crap on TV here. There's just so much radio interference. We live by a cell phone antenna. Like a block away from us is an airport transponder. And also, I have my Wi-Fi router in here, which is probably not helping the situation either. So, unfortunately, we're going to go straight to emulation with the Coleco. I'm not going to show it powering up and going up on the TV here. We're just going to go straight into emulation and do the gameplay videos, just kind of show you what the games look like on it. And then after that, we'll do the conclusion as well, just kind of giving you my thoughts on the system and my personal experience with it, basically. And then also in between segments, I also put in commercials as well, some of the old times, the 80 commercials for the ColecoVision. So keep a lookout for those. Some of those are pretty cool. All right, guys, well, let's go ahead and take a look.
If you own ColecoVision, you already own a powerful state-of-the-art computer that gives you the arcade experience with the newest arcade games like Donkey Kong Jr., Looping, Pepper 2, Time Pilot, Mr. Do, Space Fury, Frontline, arcade controls like Turbo, the Roller Controller, and new Super Action Sports. And soon you'll plug in Atom, the revolutionary ColecoVision family computer module with new Super Games, keyboard, and printer. ColecoVision, the only system you'll ever need.
The story of the ColecoVision really started in 1932. This is when Maurice Greenberg opened the Connecticut Leather Company. They started producing leather goods and leather shoe repair kits. During World War II, the demand for business grew, and so did the company. In the early 1950s, Maurice Greenberg's son Leonard Greenberg joined the company. It was his idea to sell leather lacing and leather craft kits to children. At a 1954 toy fair, their leather moccasin kit was chosen as the Child Guidance Prestige toy, and at this point, the Connecticut Leather Company decided to go full-on in kids' toys. In 1956, Leonard Greenberg bought a technology used to vacuum form plastic, which led the company to develop several small toys made out of plastic, including wading pools. In 1961, the leather and shoe finding portion of the business was sold off, and the Connecticut Leather Company abbreviated its name to Coleco. In 1963, Coleco acquired the Kestrel Corporation, which was a leading manufacturer of vinyl pools and toys. After this acquisition, Coleco became the largest manufacturer of above-ground swimming pools in the world. In 1966, the company had grown so large that Leonard persuaded his brother Arnold Greenberg to join. After Arnold joined, several other toy manufacturing companies were acquired by Coleco. Coleco enjoyed success during the late 1960s in the toy manufacturing sector. In 1971, Coleco became public on the New York Stock Exchange, and then Coleco acquired a snowmobile company. After the acquisition of the snowmobile company, sales were very poor in that sector. Coleco had to find a way to make money and make money fast. Right around this time, Arnold Greenberg was named CEO of the company and wanted to get into the growing video game market. Coleco in 1976 started producing the Telstar dedicated game consoles. Nearly all of these dedicated systems were built around a General Instruments Pong on a chip, which there was a shortage of, but since Coleco was one of the first to order, they got their entire shipment while other companies didn't. This made Coleco a leader in the dedicated game console market in the 1970s. The sales of the dedicated game consoles allowed Coleco to break even with the failing snowmobile business. Coleco did well in the electronics video game market and wanted to continue their success. In 1979, Arnold Greensburg wanted to create a programmable home video game console with arcade-quality games made with off-the-shelf parts. Eric Bromley and his engineering team began the design of the ColecoVision. In 1979, they had already developed a prototype system that used a Texas Instruments chip for the video and a General Instruments chip for the audio, but because of the cost of RAM at the time, it was not approved, but shelved and perhaps for a later date. By early 1982, that later date had come, and the cost of RAM had fallen, and Bromley saw that the cost of the system was well within what Coleco wanted. Development of the ColecoVision was very fast, as the system was already developed and was just shelved. The ColecoVision was launched on August of 1982, and by Christmas of 1982 had already sold 500,000 units. In early 1983, more than 1 million units had already been sold, greatly surpassing what the biggest rival, the Atari 5200, was doing. Sales were looking good, and Coleco decided to launch the Coleco Atom computer. Unfortunately, this was the beginning of the end for Coleco. The Atom was not a success due to bad manufacturing and defects, which gave Coleco a bad name. And then it happened, the video game crash. With horrible sales of the Atom computer and the ColecoVision sales plummeting along with the sales of its games, by 1985, Coleco had announced the discontinuation of the Atom computer and in October of the ColecoVision. This gave the ColecoVision a 37-month run, selling just under 2 million units in that time frame. Unfortunately for Coleco, their timing was just bad when they released it right before the video game crash. Had they released it in 1979, we might still be playing Coleco video game systems today. Nobody would question the quality of the graphics and the games of the ColecoVision, far beating what Atari or any other video game system at the time could do. Just another example of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Now, Coleco went on to produce the Cabbage Patch Doll, which kind of kept them afloat for a few more years, but by 1988, Coleco had filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and by 1989, what was left of Coleco was swallowed up by the toy giant Hasbro.
You are the player, and the arcade is the arena. You focus your mind and propel yourself into a universe where you're the master of your destiny for as long as you can keep the trip going. This is the arcade experience. We're ColecoVision. We bring the arcade experience home with games like Donkey Kong with multiple screens, arcade controls, and arcade graphics that let you have the arcade experience at home because your vision is our vision. ColecoVision.
Now we're going to take a look at what was inside the ColecoVision. There are 3 main chips that we'll look at: the CPU, the video chip, and the sound chip. I'm not going to go over the individual RAM chips, but just know that there were 16 kilobytes of video RAM and 1 kilobyte of general purpose RAM. The CPU in the ColecoVision was a Zilog Z80A running at 3.58 MHz. The video chip was a Texas Instruments TMS9928A video display controller. It was capable of displaying a resolution of 256 by 192 at a frame rate of 60 frames per second. It was capable of 24 columns of text by 24 rows of text. It also had 2 graphics modes. Graphics mode number 1 was 40 columns by 24 rows of text, each 6 by 8 pixels. And there are only 2 colors on the screen at once, one in the foreground and one in the background. Graphics mode number 2 is 32 columns by 24 rows with 768 different character patterns. Each cell within had 8 different foreground and background colors, one for each scan line. Then there was the bitmap graphics mode, which displayed 64 by 48 color bitmap. The ColecoVision was capable of displaying 16 colors and having up to 32 movable 16 by 16 sprites on the screen. The sound chip was the Texas Instruments SN764898 digital complex sound generator. It can produce up to 3 square wave tones. Each tone is generated by a frequency divisor of 1024 possible values. There's also a pseudo-random noise generator, which could either generate noise directly or be used as a frequency divider. The ColecoVision was made from all off-the-shelf parts, so really there's not much to talk about. Anybody with a little electronic skill and knowledge could make a ColecoVision today, due to the fact that it doesn't have any custom silicone really, like the Commodore SID or PLA chips or Atari's Pokey or TIA chips.
While Atari keeps trying to sell you new systems like the 5200, with ColecoVision you only need one system, because ColecoVision expands to give you a Super Action controller set with Super Action Baseball, a driving module with turbo, an expansion module to play all Atari 2600 games, and only ColecoVision plugs into the Atom module to become the complete Atom computer system. So if you don't want to keep buying new systems, there's only one system to buy, ColecoVision. Sorry, Atari.
So here's an actual ColecoVision console here, guys. So we'll kind of take a 360 view of this. So the first thing we're going to look at here are the controllers, because they are kind of attached to the system. I mean, they actually do come off. It's just a DB9 connection, kind of like the Atari. But you have your two buttons here, your numpad, and all these selection buttons, and then your controller right here. Now they do plug in right in there, as you can see. So that's where your controllers plug in, and then they kind of get stored right here on the top. Now here's your power button here, your reset button here. This is where your cartridge actually connects. It's right there. This is that expansion bay that you would plug like the 2600 converter into right here. So that's pretty cool. Over on the sides, there's really nothing on the sides of the Coleco. It's basically molded plastic. Then on the back here, so you have your channel select button for your RF. This is your RF out that goes to your TV, and then your power connection right here. Now it has a big old power brick that comes with it that I have behind all my systems here, so I'm not digging that out to show you guys that. But just to let you know, it's a huge, heavy ass power brick. But yeah, that's pretty much the ColecoVision there, guys. Let's go ahead and, like I said, I wish I could plug this thing in and power it up and play it up here on the TV, but unfortunately with the RF signal being so bad, that's not going to happen. So let's go ahead and dive straight into emulation and take a look at a few games for this thing.
Playing on ColecoVision, Mr. Do and Time Pilot, two of the best new arcade games for the best system made. This is Time Pilot, a battle with aircraft from the past and the future.
Homing missile! Got him! Uh-oh, blue bomber!
And this is Mr. Do. Mow a path to his fruit and start picking, but don't get picked off.
Powerball!
Nice shot. Mr. Do and Time Pilot, now playing on ColecoVision. The best system in town keeps getting better.
Alright guys, so that about sums up this video about the ColecoVision, but I just wanted to give you some personal insight about that system myself. So when I was a little kid, my sister had a boyfriend, and their family used to have a ColecoVision, and he had a little brother about my age, and I remember going over there, and I just loved going over there to play the Coleco because the graphics were so much better. Everything was just so much better about that game system. But I just couldn't get over the controller with all the you know, the buttons and the number pad and all that on there. I was like, what the hell? Because I had a 2600. I didn't have all that, you know. But yeah, it was a great system. You know, he was the only person that I knew back then that had a Coleco. And it was years and years and years until later on, about 2010 or so, I think I got a ColecoVision with my old collection that I had at my old house. I ended up selling that, unfortunately, but that was the first time I had played ColecoVision for years until then. And it was really because of the retro gaming community that on YouTube that got me back into everything. That's why I bought that console, and I ended up buying the flash card for it and everything because I still love it so much. Bad thing is right now with the way mine is with the RF signal, it's just horrible. All my RF systems, like I said, future projects coming up, guys, and I'll take you along for the ride on that when I basically mod every one of these systems from RF into the composite video. But it'll be pretty cool. You guys will be seeing that. But yeah, I can't play the Coleco because of that right now. So I'm just kind of waiting on trying to find the right parts and what I want to do. You can buy those kits for the RF thing, but not really something I want to do right now. I think I want to make my own breadboard, my own board. That's what I've always done whenever I mod a console. I don't buy somebody's pre-made stuff. So, but anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. I just wanted to say thanks to all my subs once again, and y'all have a good one. Peace out.